What's up, co-reporters? Welcome back to my channel. Love is Blind has officially given us its resident fake woke king, and it's none other than Ramses. When we first meet him, he's presented as the ultimate progressive boyfriend. He rejects toxic masculinity, machismo culture, wants a quote-unquote equal relationship, and even dresses like he's about to lead a feminist book club. You're thinking, wow, a man who understands emotional labor and the importance of accessorizing. But hold up, because as the season goes on, Ramses reveals that his version of progressive masculinity stops at his wardrobe. Mind you, I didn't even start taking notes on Ramses and Marissa's relationship until around episode 7 because, well, it was that dull, you guys. Picture watching paint dry, only somehow slower. In episode 7, we see them hem and haw over where to live, and traces of performative allyship start to take place when Marissa drops the bomb that she doesn't want a straight man to officiate their wedding, and Ramses agrees. All right, woke champions, we see you, but really, what does the sexuality of an officiant matter, especially when it's a heterosexual marriage? Like, is it okay for the caterers to be, to be straight, to be male, to be female? I don't know. Like it was very odd to me, but I digress. We're then treated to more instances of Ramses presenting as a socially conscious ally of marginalized communities when he speaks about his disdain for the American military and the terror that they have perpetuated on a global scale, especially in his home country of Venezuela. At this point, I personally had him built up in my head as this feminist, anti-imperialist man who rejects all that hegemonic masculinity represents. Granted, at this point, I still did find the comment about the officiant sexuality to be rather performative, but I still had faith in Ramses. It wasn't until he met Marissa's mom over lunch that the house of cards started crumbling faster than his excuses for not wearing condoms. Over lunch, there was a moment where he spoke against millionaire, billionaire wealth hoarding when Marissa's mom asked him to sign a prenup and, about his own earning potential. It felt like a regurgitated social media talking point meant to distract from his own lack of formal education and earning potential, especially when you stack that up against his fiancée Marissa, who, just graduated law school and is about to pass the bar, God willing, to become a lawyer. There was also a moment where Marissa's mom called Ramses out for making his divorce seem like he was a saint who made the unilateral decision for his ex-wife for her own good. Marissa's mom was like, back up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I'm sure she had her own reasons for wanting to divorce you too. This was a mutual divorce at the end of the day. You're not the only person who wanted to end this marriage. So spare me talking about you did this for her greater good. Granted, Marissa's mom was uncouth, rude, and obnoxious, but she saw through Ramses very quickly and called him out on his shit. Was it appropriate to call out his sense of style, his two little dreads or braids or whatever? No. Was it appropriate of her to call her own daughter a bitch? Hell no. But she made some solid points and valid criticisms about Ramses and their relationship. So at this point, his feminist ally act went from believable to questionable, but it wasn't until he and Marissa discussed birth control that his mask completely fell off and showed us that it was all bullish. Their discussion showed that Ramses prioritizes his own pleasure over her health, basically saying, condoms, who needs them? You go ahead and take birth control, and that is how we are going to collectively prevent pregnancy. Sir, reproductive responsibility is a two-person job, not something you shrug off because latex cramps your style. What's worse, not loving the sensation of condoms or subjecting someone to hormones and this, that, and the other that could alter their body chemistry, their moods, their skin, their weight, all sorts of things. And the cherry on top, we later find out that Ramses had been pressuring Marissa for condomless intimacy while she was sick and on her period. There was a very dramatic scene where he's there alone on the bed. It looked like they broke up or something. She comes out of the bathroom, teary-eyed, obviously having just finished crying in there. And she was just so overwhelmed about with how much Ramses was pressuring her to sleep with him, even when she was not feeling well, which is just very alarming, even just to recount the story to you guys. He tells her that he wants to have as much intimacy as possible before the wedding to make sure that they're on the same wavelength, they have the same desires, needs, frequency, things like that. But, it sounds to me anyway, more like he was trying to get a few last lays out of her before saying no at the altar. I feel like the ladies really have to be careful sleeping with these people. Yes, technically you are married, but you also don't really know each other that well. You just met. It's a very, very, manipulated environment that makes them feel a lot safer, a lot more familiar with these people than they truly are. And things like this are scary to see in Ramses, and we also saw it play out in Stephen as well. The craziest part about it all was that Marissa had only turned him down 3 times in their entire relationship, and then there was also a moment where she asked him, and this again, it reminded me of Stephen, like the creep who seems to have some kind of an ex addiction. Marissa asked Ramses, I'm sick. And you're feeling impatient. You're feeling like you're questioning, marrying me or whatever, because I cannot sleep with you while I'm sick. I'm bleeding. I've got hormones all over the place. I'm bloating. I'm tired. All sorts of things that's going on with her. It was very weird. So she says, are you one of those guys who is just so hooked that if your wife is not able to perform because she's got cancer or she's postpartum, you're going to leave? Ramses never actually answered that question with a categoric no. All he said was that it was a good question, which to me was another red flag on his part. Oh, and let's not forget, there was a final pre-wedding date where Marissa finally calls Ramses out for being not all that involved in their wedding planning. The guy has left all the wedding planning to her. Mind you, Marissa works, right, as a law clerk. She's also studying for the bar exam, which is one of the most difficult exams that you can take. And she's commuting very, very long distances, whereas Ramses is just working a rather low stress job, and it's rather local to him. So there is no commuting. He doesn't have all that much on his plate, yet he hasn't bothered to provide much input with the wedding planning. He hasn't even bothered to find her mom a gift throughout this entire courtship, weddings process, nothing. Not even a scented candle from the clearance rack at Bath and Body Works. Come on, dude, a little bit of effort, por favor. And here's where it gets rich. He just sits there nodding along like, yeah, I totally get it. It's unfair to leave everything on you. Do you get it though? Do you really? Because if you were truly the woke, progressive feminist you claim to be, this wouldn't even be a conversation. You'd have been on Pinterest making mood boards and picking out the table settings from day one. A real ally wouldn't need a reminder that wedding planning is a 2-person job, Ramses. He'd already have his sleeves rolled up knee deep in seating charts and brainstorming cute ways to win over Marissa's mom instead of just nodding along like he's at a TED Talk. At this point, to me, it's clear as day that Ramses isn't a nice guy who respects women as he wants us to believe. In my opinion, he only rejects the traits of masculinity that he can't measure up to in terms of physical strength, financial success, but he's more than happy to participate in the most toxic aspect of masculinity, which is the subjugation of women and the treatment of women as mere sex objects who exist solely to pleasure men on their terms. I really hope that Marissa sees through him and his facade at the altar and ultimately ends up saying no. Something tells me she's not going to be the one to say no, that it's going to be him, which would again bring me back to my prior point, which is the way that he is just pushing all this intimacy on her and she's not feeling well. She's overworked, she's studying hard, she's stressed, she's commuting long distances, and he's saying we need to get as much of this in before the wedding. To me, red flag, especially if he says no, then that would mean that he was just using her as, a physical outlet while he can before he breaks it off with her, which would be just very, very vile, truly disgusting, deplorable behavior. watch this space, you guys. We're going to see what happens at that altar, okay? But in the meantime, I want to know how you guys have been feeling about Ramses as this season of Love is Blind continues to play out. Do you too consider him to be fake ally, fake woke, or whatever else it would be? Is he kind of low-key toxic? Is he a wolf in sheep's clothing? Because those are my personal opinions, but I am more than happy to hear what you guys have to say. So please do make sure to leave all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as usual, we will chat. And please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Love is Blind recaps, reality television recaps in general, and pop culture news. That's all for now, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.